All right, let's get right into it. We're going deep into the Cold War for our story that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a movie. We're talking about one of America's absolute boldest spy missions, an operation of, just unbelievable genius and daring. But here's the twist. It was brought to its knees not by some enemy submarine or a missile, nope, but by a single whisper. This is the story of how the ocean literally went silent. And this right here, this just says it all, doesn't it? The weapon that unraveled years of work, millions and millions of dollars, and the sheer courage of these elite divers. Well, it wasn't made of steel. It was paper. Just a single KGB file that managed to cripple an operation that everyone thought was completely untouchable. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the mission itself. This was an absolutely incredible technological achievement. I mean, it basically gave the United States a secret ear right inside the very heart of the Soviet Navy's command structure. So picture this. There's a place so remote, so heavily guarded by ice and warships, that the Soviet Union basically considered it their own private lake. We're talking about the Sea of Okhotsk. They felt so incredibly secure there that they ran their communication cables, get this, unencrypted, right across the seafloor. I mean, why would you even bother scrambling your calls when you're convinced that no one on Earth can possibly get close enough to listen in, right? And this is where the audacity of the American plan just blows your mind. The CIA and the NSA, they decided they were going to sneak a submarine into this Soviet fortress, find one specific cable on the pitch-black seafloor, and then attach a recording device, all without ever breaking the connection. Think about that. It's like trying to perform microscopic surgery in the middle of the night, hundreds of feet underwater. So how in the world did they pull this off? Well, the tech that made it all possible it's fascinating. It's something called inductive coupling. Basically, the recording pod they built could just clamp around the outside of the cable. It would pick up the magnetic field from the electrical signals passing through the inside. It never had to physically touch the core copper wires. It was pure electronic eavesdropping and totally invisible to the Soviets. And yeah, a stethoscope for a superpower is the perfect way to put it. All of a sudden, America had a direct, private line into the Soviet Naval Command. They were hearing everything. We're talking submarine patrol schedules, weapons test data, maintenance logs, and even the totally mundane stuff, like sailors complaining about the chow. It was an absolute intelligence goldmine. The quality of info was just unprecedented. And for years, this whole operation was a stunning success. American subs would sneak back in, swap out the tapes with the recordings, and then just disappear without a trace. The flow of information seemed endless, totally unstoppable. But, every complex machine has a single point of failure. And in the world of espionage, that weak point is almost always human. So, who was it? Who was the person who brought this incredible mission crashing down? Well, he wasn't some master spy you'd see in a movie. Not at all. His name was Ronald Pelton. He was a former NSA analyst, so he knew the language of signals intelligence inside and out. But he was also unemployed, totally broke, and getting really, really desperate. Just look at this comparison for a second. The asymmetry here is just staggering. On one side, you've got this monumental effort, right? Years of planning, bleeding-edge tech, unbelievable risk for the people involved. And on the other side, the thing that brought it all down, a single phone call to the Soviet embassy, one man's memory, and a simple, desperate need for some cash. It's just wild. And this is maybe the most crucial point of the whole story. Pelton didn't steal a briefcase full of classified files. He didn't have to. In 1980, he just walked into the Soviet embassy and sold them the entire operation from memory. He described the program, the exact location, the technology they were using, literally everything the KGB needed to build a dossier that would become the mission's death warrant. So, with that information from Pelton, the KGB didn't waste any time. They acted. And for the American analysts who were listening in, day after day, their entire world was about to change. That endless river of intelligence they relied on, it was about to hit a brick wall. You gotta remember, this feed wasn't just nice to have. It was the absolute lifeblood of intelligence in the Pacific. This stuff was going into presidential briefings. It was guiding U.S. naval strategy. The analysts even joked that they'd get seasick from the sheer tide of data that was constantly coming in. In a really uncertain world, this was their fountain of certainty. And then, nothing. The line went flat. That riverbed of data, It just dried up, completely. A room that was once buzzing with Russian voices suddenly fell into this unnerving, deafening quiet. You know, panic in the intelligence community isn't loud. It's a quiet, creeping thing. At first, everyone was just hoping for a simple explanation. Maybe the battery just died. Maybe a fishing trawler snagged it. They went through every possible technical glitch, desperately trying to avoid the one answer they feared the most. But as that silence stretched from a few days into weeks, all that denial just started to fade away. And it was replaced by this chilling certainty. The worst possible answer was the only one left on the table. The impossible had happened. Someone had talked. So naturally, the hunt for the mole was on. But the answer didn't come from some brilliant piece of detective work or a daring counter-intel op. Nope. The answer came, as it so often did back in the Cold War, from another traitor deciding to switch sides. This timeline really shows you the agonizing gap in time. So Pelton sells the secret in 1980. The very next year, Soviet divers go down and grab the American pod. But it took another 4 years until 1985, which was actually dubbed the Year of the Spy, for the U.S. to finally figure out who was responsible. So in 1985, this high-ranking KGB officer, a guy named Vitaly Yurchenko, he defects. And among all the secrets he spills, he tells this one story about a former NSA guy with red hair who had called the embassy years back. He said this guy offered up a major undersea operation. And he didn't do it for ideology, he did it for cold, hard cash. And just like that, the pieces of the puzzle finally started to click into place. The FBI investigation pointed them straight to Ronald Pelton. But the real shocker here wasn't just who did it was how it all went down. It was a stark reminder that the biggest threat isn't always a weapon you can actually see. Think about it. The mission wasn't taken down by a better submarine or some big military assault. It was defeated by paperwork. A single file sitting on a desk in Moscow, put together from the words of one desperate guy. And that file was enough to mobilize ships and divers and completely undo one of America's most brilliant, most secret intelligence operations. And this quote just captures the brutal, cold math of espionage perfectly, doesn't it? All that amazing engineering, all the courage of the divers, all that high-tech steel sitting at the bottom of the ocean, it was all made useless by a single piece of paper. Human weakness had completely trumped technological strength. Period. And the impact of this? It was profound. The loss of Ivy Bells created this massive, gaping blind spot in U.S. intelligence. That silence coming from the Sea of Okhotsk, it wasn't just an absence of data. It was the sound of confidence being lost, the sound of a certainty that America had relied on for years, just drown it. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This story isn't just ancient history. Today, the cables under our oceans, they carry our digital data, not just analog voices. And they're more critical than ever before. But the threats, they're exactly the same. A single leak, one compromised password, one person's bad decision. The technology changes, sure, but that human element, that remains the ultimate vulnerability. So the question is, are we listening for the silence today?